Good morning. Welcome to Daily Focus, and I'm thankful for an opportunity to have you join me this morning, a little bit later than normal, but I'm glad to finish up Matthew chapter 15, a very familiar story, maybe not as popular as the feeding of the 5,000. This is the feeding of the 4,000, and so very similar situations is that the multitude has been with Jesus for 3 days. And what they ate up until this point, it doesn't say. Then Jesus called the disciples unto him and said, I have compassion on the multitude because they continue with me now 3 days and have nothing to eat, and I will not send them away fasting, lest they faint in the way. Did they fast for 3 days? Did they eat what they had and they were now out of food, but they still didn't want to leave Jesus? I don't really know what the exact circumstance is, but Jesus is clear that they have nothing more to eat, and yet they've been with me, and I'm not going to leave them. I'm not going to have them go away hungry. And the disciples say, how are we going to feed them? Um, and Jesus said, and the disciples say unto him, when should we have so much bread in the wilderness as to fill so great a multitude? And Jesus said unto them, how many loaves have ye? And they said, 7, and a few little fishes. And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the ground. And he took the 7 loaves and the fishes, and gave thanks, and brake them, and gave to his disciples, and the disciples to the multitude, and they did all eat and were filled. And they took up of the broken meat that was left 7 baskets full. And they that did eat were 4,000 men, beside women and children. And he sent away the multitude and took ship and came into the coast of Magdala. And here is Jesus again, miraculously providing for those in the need that they had for food. Well, there's 2 things that I want us to concentrate on in this story. Number one is the compassion of Christ. I alluded to this the other day. It's easy for us to get our eyes on our own problems, to try to solve our own issues, rather than keeping our chin up and being aware of the needs of people around us and the opportunity that is ours to actually meet those needs and to be a blessing to others. Instead of seeing people and how they can minister to our issues, to our needs, we need to keep our chin up, keep looking, have some compassion on the needs of others, and see what the Lord would have us do to help bear that burden. And what a wonderful way to live life is remembering that we represent Christ and we want people to see Christ in us. So as we're looking around, let's make sure that we're looking intentionally to see who has a need that I could meet. And instead of trying to demonstrate to everyone else my own needs and how people can come alongside to help me, looking for those specific areas that God could use me as a blessing to somebody else. And what it takes is compassion. It's actually loving people. It's loving the opportunities that God gives to us to serve and to help those around us. But then the next thing, maybe just as important, is that Jesus promises that he will supply all of our needs according to his riches in glory. And we don't have to live life constantly wondering if God will do what he says. The variable is us. Are we going to do what God says? Are we going to be what God commands? Our challenge is that we want to do what we want, if we want, to the extent we want, and still have God do what he said. There are so many promises in the Bible that are conditional. If my people, which are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear their prayer, I will heal their land. It's amazing that God is a God who over and over again said to Israel, if you will do this, if you will obey, I'll bless. If you disobey, I'll punish. But the decision is yours. I think so many times we want God to come through and do what he said he would do while we don't do what we are supposed to do. I think in this upcoming election, people are like, we're just praying that God gives to us a space of grace. We're just praying that God, well, you know what? There is a way for God to have that liberty. And that is if my people will humble themselves and pray and seek his face and turn from their wicked ways. There is a way for Christians to grab the heart of God and give him full options as to what he wants to do with America. But if his people are going to blame the liberals, if God's people are going to live for themselves arrogantly, full of pride, God is under no obligation to bail us out, to give us a space of grace, or to rescue us from the demise of our own irresponsibility. I am firmly convinced that this upcoming election is 100% dependent upon Christians doing what God called us to do, being good stewards of what God has entrusted to us. Christians should be praying. They should be humble. They should be seeking God's face. They should be turning from sin. And if they'll do those things, they will obey God's command to steward the vote and not just make sure they vote, but to make sure they vote biblically. That's what Christians are to do. If Christians aren't going to do it, then why would God come to our rescue? Because we asked him to, because we told him we wanted him to, because we expected him to. I think we have to come back and realize God is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we could ask or think. He is a gracious God. But for us to just want God to always come to the rescue without addressing who we are as people and what we have been commanded to do and to be is foolish. God is able to feed the 4,000. He is able to feed 5,000 plus women and children. He's able to do it out of nothing. He is fully capable and desirous to meet our needs and is able to. He's able to heal America. But can I tell you, we have to be conducting ourselves in such a way that he has full options to do it. He said to his disciples, what do you have? Bring that to me. You see, they had to obey. They had to take what had been entrusted to them and they had to give it to God. We have to come to the place in our Christian lives where we realize God has given to us and we need to be able to give it back to him, say, okay, God, what do you want to do with me? What do you want to do with my resources that you've entrusted to me? What do you want to do with the time you've entrusted to me? What is it that you want? And then watch God do what only God can do. Our problem in Christianity today is we're hoarding everything God has given to us for ourselves and what we want, and then complain where we're not feeling like God cares, God's listening, or God's doing. And God is just saying, let go. Give me the 7 fishes or the 7 loaves and few fishes. Give it to me. And then watch me do what I can do. We need to give our lives back to him and let him have full control, give our country back to him, and the responsibilities that he's given to us, fulfill them obediently so that God has all the options to do. I don't believe for 1 second God ever wanted to punish Israel. I don't think that he orchestrated things so that they would rebel, so that they would be selfish, that they would chase after false gods. I don't think he did that so he could punish them. He punished them because they limited his options, and that's all he could do. I don't want to do that in America. I don't want to do that in my life. I hope you don't want to do it in yours. Let's remember, God is a God who's able to do the impossible. We just have to be responsible with what he has entrusted to us and commanded us. God bless you. I hope you have a great day. I'll look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.